Good evening, one and all. We welcome to you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, India's G20 presidency, and also World Health Organization 75th anniversary. In collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation, India, and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences, and Wellbeing. Before we start our session, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today is commemorated as Mathematics Day. In India, on occasion of Srinivasa Ramanujan, who is a maths genius in the world, and we celebrate today his birth anniversary. So Mathematics Day on December 22nd every year celebrates the birth anniversary of India's famed mathematician, Srinivasa Ramanujan. Ramanuja's genius have been regarded by mathematicians to be on the same level as Euler and Jacobi from the 18th and 19th centuries. His work is the number theory is especially regarded and made advances in the partition function. Since 2012, India's National Mathematics Day is recognized on December 22 annually with numerous educational events held at schools and universities throughout the country. In 2017, the day's significance was enhanced by the opening of the Ramanujan Math Park in Kuppam in Chittoor, Andhra Pradesh. Mathematics lovers like Sri Ramanujan are all around the world, and some even support others enhance knowledge on the subject. Srinivasa Ramanujan is the brilliant mathematician behind the inspiration for Mathematics Day in India, whose works influenced many across the country and the world. Ramanujan was born in 1887 in Erode, Tamil Nadu, to an Iyengar Brahmin family. At age 12, despite lacking a formal education, he excelled at trigonometry and developed many theorems for himself. After finishing secondary school in 1904, Ramanujan became eligible for a scholarship to study at the Government Arts College, Kumbakonam, but could not secure it since he did not excel in other subjects. At the age of 14, Ramanujan ran away from home and enrolled at Pachiyappa's College in Madras. where he too only excelled in mathematics without managing the same in other subjects and was unable to finish with a Fellow of Arts degree. Living in dire poverty, Ramanujan instead pursued independent research in mathematics. Soon, the budding mathematician was noticed in Chennai mathematics circles in 1912. Ramaswamy Iyer, founder of the Indian Mathematical Society, helped him get a clerk position at the Madras Port Trust. Ramanujan then began sending his work to British mathematicians, receiving a breakthrough in 1913 when the Cambridge based GHRD called to London after being impressed by the Ramanujan theorem. Ramanujan made his way to Britain in 1914, where Hardy got him Trinity College, Cambridge in 1917. Ramanujan was well on his way to success. After being elected to be a member of the London Mathematical Society, and he also became the Fellow of the Royal Society in 1980, one of the youngest to achieve the esteemed position. Ramanujan returned to India in 1990 because he couldn't get accustomed to the diet in Britain. His health continued to deteriorate and died in 1920 at the age of 32. However, his achievements in the field of mathematics are still highly regarded across the globe. Ramanujan left behind 3 notebooks with pages containing unpublished results, which mathematicians continued to work on for years to come. So much so that in 2012, former Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh, declared December 22nd, the day of Ramanuja's birth, as National Mathematics Day, to be celebrated across the country. So Ramanujan was born in Erode, Tamil Nadu, to an Iyengar Brahmin family, growing up in poverty and later becoming a brilliant mathematician who left an indelible mark on the field in 1887. Ramanujan becomes one of the youngest people in the history to receive a Fellow of Royal Society shortly after being elected to be a member of the London Mathematical Society in Britain, which is a high achievement in 1980. So former Prime Minister of India Manmohan Singh declares December 22, the day of Ramanujan's birth, as National Mathematics Day to celebrate Ramanujan's achievements in 2012. The Royal Society honors Ramanujan, which is a prestigious Royal Society, the United Kingdom's National Academy of Sciences, tweets a special message in the honor of the fellow in 2019. There are many ways to celebrate Mathematics Day, not just in India, but around the world. In India, NASI celebrates National Mathematics Day by conducting a workshop in application of mathematics and Ramanujan. The workshop is attended by popular lecturers and experts in the field of mathematics from across the country. Speakers at the national and world level discuss Srinivasa Ramanujan's contribution to mathematics. Aryabhatta or Aryabhatta I was the first of the major mathematician astronomers from the classical age of Indian mathematics and Indian astronomy. His works include the Aryabhatiya, which mentions that in 3600 Kali Yuga, 499 CE, he was 23 years old, and the Arya Siddhanta. So Aryabhatta is the father of Indian mathematics. Indians have been credited with the greatest achievements in mathematics, like zero is invented by Indians, our ancient sages, and so many discoveries have been significantly contributed to the world because India has been leader in the global knowledge with the ancient systems which are par with the systems which were existing across the globe, because we belong to the ancient civilizations, one of the foremost highly developed, matured civilizations on the planet. The International Day of Mathematics is a worldwide celebration. Each year on March 14, all countries are invited to participate through activities for both students and the general public in schools, museums, libraries, and other spaces. Srinivasa Ramanujan's earliest stories began around at the age of 12, mastering the dizzy logic of trigonometry and developing theorems on his own without any assistance. While not everyone feels the need to celebrate mathematics, it's still an important subject. Why not try learning the concept of trigonometry yourself or read up about it? It's actually one of the most important branches of mathematics and is something that every student should focus on. Great trigonometry skills allow students to work out complex angles and dimensions in relatively little time. The brilliant mathematician inspired the field of mathematics and many students across India. If you don't know how much about him, you can watch this incredible story, Success from the Comfort of Your Own Home. Consider watching The Man Who Knew Infinity, starring Dev Patel. It is a great biopic of Ramanujan's inspiring journey. So, encourage other students' strengths. If there is one important factor to take away from Srinivas Ramanujan's amazing story and the success in the field of mathematics, it is that he preserved despite performing horrendously at other subjects such as English, philosophy, and Sanskrit. This shows that each student has their own strengths and weakness. And while it's always important to do our best, make sure to nurture and compliment a student who excels in a particular subject. Who knows, maybe that compliment will help nurture their will to perform better and even pursue their interest to amazing heights. There are 8 trigonometric identities called fundamental identities. 3 of them are called Pythagorean identities as they are based on the Pythagorean theorem. The fundamental identities. Trigonometry emerged from the applications of geometry to astronomical studies in the 3rd century BC. The ancient calculation. Trigonometry is associated with music and plays a major role in music theory and production. Sound waves travel in a repeating wave pattern, which can be presented graphically by sine and cosine functions. A single note can be modeled on a sine curve, and a chord can be modeled with multiple sine curves used in conjunction with one another. Mathematics as music. The word trigonometry comes from the word triangle measure. If it was the 1700s, as we knew trigonometry, we would probably be a navigator on a ship. A good navigator can discover their location even in the middle of Atlantic Ocean with some trigonometry and a good clock. Whether you love it or hate it, you can't deny mathematics is the order of the world, and without it, we wouldn't be able to make much sense of it at all. Mathematics is a methodological application of matter, makes our life orderly and prevent chaos. Certain qualities that are nurtured by mathematicians are the power of reasoning, creativity, abstract, spatial thinking, critical thinking, problem solving ability, and even more effective communication skills. A day to celebrate. This field is a day worth celebrating. Mathematics Day. Mathematicians Day is all about celebrating and recognizing the brilliant mathematicians Srinivas Ramanujan, who taught himself mathematics more after a dropout of college due to not excelling in other subjects. Without a formal degree, Ramanujan pursued research in mathematics on his own, living in stark poverty on the brink of starvation. His hard work and passion helped him and became one of the most recognized mathematicians today, regardless of these bleak circumstances. Hard work and a little bit of luck really can lead us to fulfill our dreams. Obviously, mathematicians and scientists rely on mathematical principles to do some basic aspects of their work, such as test hypothesis. While scientific careers famously involve math, they are not only careers to do so, even operating a cash register requires that one understands basic arithmetic. People working in a factory must be able to do mental arithmetic to keep track of parts of the assembly line and must, in some cases, manipulate the fabrication software utilizing geometric properties to build their products. Really, any job requires math because you must know how to interpret your paycheck and balance your budget. Srinivasa Ramanujan, born on December 22nd, 1887, was an Indian mathematician. He was born with the British colonial period in India. He became one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. Despite having no formal training in pure mathematics, Ramanujan made several key contributions to the infinite series, continued fractions, mathematical analysis, and number theory. He also came up with solutions to mathematical problems that were considered unsolvable. Now that you know a bit of the genius, let's learn more about him. His full name is Srinivas Ramanujan Iyengar, nickname is Ramanujan. He is born on 22nd December 1887 and he left the world on 26th April 1920 at the age of 32. His zodiac sign is Capricorn and he has height of 5 feet 8 inches and a net worth of $1.5 million. Srinivas Ramanujan Iyer was born in Erode, Mysore Kingdom. The region is now the state of Tamil Nadu in India. His mother's name was Komala Tamal and she was a stay-at-home mom. His father, Kuppuswamy Srinivas Iyengar, served as a clerk at a garment shop. The family lived in the modest traditional home in the town of Kumbakonam. He also had a brother who tragically passed away at the age of 3 months. His mother also gave birth to two more children between 1891 and 1894. However, both of them passed away shortly after the birth. In 1892, Ramanujan began attending a local school. Thereafter, he was enrolled in Kangayam Primary School, very close to his mother. He learnt about religion and tradition from her. Young Ramanujan was brilliant in academics and he was just 10 years old. He passed his examination with the best scores in his district in the subjects of geography, Tamil, English, and arithmetic. Clearly a child prodigy, he became a master of mathematical knowledge at the mere age of 11 and received awards and merit certificates throughout his school years. Interestingly, his excellence in math backfired when he was in college as he performed poorly in other subjects. As a result, he dropped out of college but continued to work on a collection of mathematical theorems, concepts, and ideologies. A breakthrough in his career took place when he got acquainted with V. Ramaswamy Iyer, who was founder of the Indian Mathematical Society. aiming for a job at the institution Ramanujan, showed Iyer his math notebook, who was struck by the mathematician's extraordinary skills. Ramanujan then began sharing his works with international mathematicians such as M.G.M. Hill, J.E. Littlewood, G.H. Hardy, who examined his work and arrived at the conclusion that Ramanujan was a true genius. Ramanujan publishes a 17-page booklet on Bernoulli numbers, which was his first paper in 1911. Ramanujan publishes numerous research papers in collaboration with Hardy. In 1914, his contribution to the research, Cambridge University awards him a degree in Bachelor of Science by research. He earns the recognition in 1916. Ramanujan becomes the first Indian to become the Fellow of Royal Society in 1980. Ramanujan is a prime example of how being a genius does not guarantee an easy path to success. His first two letters of introduction to Cambridge went unanswered. Over his lifetime, he failed several times, especially in non mathematical subjects. He even lost a scholarship in college because he failed in some subjects, but he didn't give up. He experienced financial instability in his life, particularly during his early childhood and teenage years. In fact, Ramachandra Rao, the Indian Mathematical Society secretary, began helping him financially from the year 1990. His humble beginnings made him even more determined to succeed. A child prodigy, Ramanujan was only 13 when he worked out Loney's trigonometry exercises completely on his own. He also came up with 17 ways of representing 1 by pi as an infinite series. Needless to say, he was a true genius. A book named A Synopsis of Elementary Results in Pure and Applied Mathematics by George Shoebridge Carr sparked his interest in math. A book started it all. The mathematician followed a strict vegetarian diet. He was a vegetarian. In India, his birthday, December 22nd, is commemorated as National Mathematics Day. A day is in his memory. The mathematician used slates as paper was expensive. His humble origins. He had a lonely childhood. He did not have any friends in school as no one understood. 1729 is called the Hardy Ramanujan number as it is the smallest number that can be expressed as the sum of two distinct cubes in two different manners. He is popular for his contribution to numerous areas of math, most notably the infinite series and number theory. Today is also commemorated as National Cookie Exchange Day in US. This is a glorious occasion when the festively decorated cookie tins and boxes appear at cookie exchange parties. It's a classic celebration where the host throws a holiday party for family and friends, to which everyone brings delicious homemade cookies to share around. The toughest decision in which cookies to take, wintertime classics like thumbprint jam cookies or gingerbread are always festive. But since this day celebrates all cookies, go ahead and add in some funfetti cookies or lemon squares. According to some culinary historians, our modern day idea of cookies may have been even a happy byproduct of cake baking. The earliest modern cookies could have been dollops of cake batter used to test if the oven was hot enough. Technically, a cookie is any kind of handheld sweet cake, crisp or soft. This counts in our book. We know early cookies came out of Persia in the 7th century in the West, as this was very near where sugar originated in the West. And Persia was one of the earliest empires to get a hold of it. when Spain was invaded and after the Crusaders established the spice trade, sugar and delectable cookies that is produced began to spread throughout the Europe. In the 14th century, sweet cookies could be purchased along in the streets in Paris. Cookie recipes started to appear in cookbooks in 1500s, and the baking became a serious profession in the 17th and 18th centuries. Cookies became works of art and featured careful measurements of particularly chosen ingredients. In the late 1600s, Dutch, English, and Scotch immigrants brought European cookies like shortbreads and simple butter cookies to America, particularly in the South. These tea cakes took off and were the pride of the Southern housewife. Cookies were uniquely influenced by American geography. Once they arrived in the country, oranges from the west coast and coconuts from the south gradually became included in cookie recipes as railroads were laid to connect the nation. In 1930s, ice boxes gave way to ice box cookies. The 1930s saw the accidental advert of the ever famous chocolate chip cookies when the Toll House restaurant owner Ruth Graves Wakefield thought the chocolate chips would melt into a batter when baked. Cookie exchanges are a centuries old tradition dating back to medieval times. The classic idea of a holiday party in which guests bring a selection of homemade cookies to trade with one another. While the festive holiday has sweet beginnings, the etiquette associated with them has become elaborate and strict. Guests are judged for the quantity and quality of their offering, and cookbooks like the Cookie Party Cookbook outline the acceptable and unacceptable practices. Today, cookie exchange traditions live on in families and friendship groups, though there is traditionally a strict etiquette that accompanies the party. You don't have to adhere to it. The spirit of the day is the joy of cookies, so get together or a group of friends and celebrate the treat on your own terms. It is thought that the earliest form of cookies was born in 7th century Persia, one of the earliest companies to cultivate sugar in 7th century AD. This sweet cookie exchange tradition dates back to the Middle Ages when the cookies often featured exotic species and dried fruits in the Middle Ages. The first mention of a cookie in American appears as they were served at a Dutch event in New York, cookies in America in 1703. Rutgraves Wakefield, who ran the Toll House restaurant, is said to have accidentally created chocolate chip cookies in 1930s. Chocolate chip cookies are born. The first pre-made refrigerated cookie dough hit stores in America at a time when most people were still making the dough from scratch in 1937. So cookie dough on demand in since 1950s. December 4th is also celebrated as National Cookie Day. National Baking Week also falls between October 14th and 20th, which are similar cookie related commemorations. December 22, that is today, is celebrated as National Cookie Exchange Day, which is observed throughout the United States. Try a new recipe. Maybe you never tried to bake Granny's Secret, world's best chocolate chip cookie recipe. Dig it up and give it a try. Certainly, you have an old cookbook somewhere in your closet, and it probably has a recipe. Certainly, you have an old cookbook somewhere in your closet and probably has a recipe. You are yet to give it a go. If not, look up the most extravagant and rule worthy cookie recipe you can find to rule your cookie exchange with. Have a cookie party, there's no better party than a cookie party. Whether your friends are coming over to bake, decorate, or simply uh, test those cookies, everyone can get behind a baked goods invasion. Today is commemorated as National Date Nut Bread Day in US. The flavorful bread that is enjoyed for breakfast and tea time. Dates and nuts such as walnuts and pecans are thrown into the mix and baked to perfection, but really you can. The first ever date nut bread recipe was published in 1939. However, dates are among the world's oldest fruits. The seeds There are different traditions for eating date nut bread in countries where it is popular. British enjoy date and walnut loaf made with a treacle and paired with a cup of tea. The sweet treat is also popular in Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland. In the USA, date nut bread is a go to during the holidays. The probability while national The date nut breeded eating contest were 17 hosted. In New York, within the winner are eating sandwiches and finger with eight machines. The first ever date nut bread recipe is published in 1939. The Spaniards bring dates with them to California in 1763. The date is a stone fruit that grows on the flowering plant species of the Arachide palm family, scientifically known as Phoenix dactyliferae. There are approximately 290 calories in a single serving of the date nut bread. Bake date nut bread and share it with all friends and family. However, conscious family members, bars, and Weight Watchers can indulge in their heart's content too. Plan a tea party for your friends and break bread with them. Dates have given since 3200 BC in Egypt. Since then, Egypt has been the top exporter of dates in the world. Dates are full of essential nutrients like magnesium, selenium, iron. Date trees grow really tall to a height of 69 to 75 feet. Strong liquor and vinegar are all extracted from the dates. Date nut bread can be enjoyed year round, but during the holiday season, it just becomes one of the essentials of the dinner table. It adds to the whole festival. Today is also commemorated as National Short Person Day in US. Great things comes in small packages. So whether you are tall or have short people in your life or yourself, you are short, it's time to celebrate. On this day, own your shortness and have a fun with the people in your life. If you can't print out the short friend in our group, chances are you are the short friend. Not sure if that actually you got. Today is also commemorated as Unity Day. Zimbabwe since 1987. This day recognizes This day recognizes the union of two political parties, ZANU and ZAPU, as ZANU PF. Both parties had strong views about the country's direction, and each represented a dialect in the country, Malay and Shona. The merger ended a nationwide conflict between the parties that had existed since 1963. This day is a day for the citizens of Zimbabwe to celebrate their togetherness, which goes beyond race, political party, religion, or gender. It also calls the world to be united for a common cause of peace, development, and security. Zimbabwe is a country in Southeast Africa, bordered on the east by Mozambique and on the west, Botswana. European traders, missionaries, and hunters made their way to the region from south during the 1800s. Among these explorers was Cecil John Rhodes, a firm believer in British imperialism. He and his British South Africa Company established the Southern African Territory of Rhodesia in 1895. This would later on become Zimbabwe and Zambia. The UK annexed Southern Rhodesia from the British Southern South African Company in 1923, leaving the white minority still in power. In 1964, the UK annexed Southern Rhodesia from the British South African Company in 1923, leaving the white minority still in power. In 1964, Ian Smith of Rhodesian Front became the Prime Minister, and a year later unilaterally declared independence and the white minority ruled. This sparked economic sanctions and international outrage. The UK refused to recognize its independence and called for more voting rights for the black African majority in Rhodesia. Meanwhile, two nationalist groups, ZAPU and ZANU, opposed the minority-led rule. After country gained independence in 1980, ZANU became the ruling party. Ethnic and political differences between the two groups led to violence and civil unrest. Many citizens were suppressed, and some groups led to violence and civil unrest. The leaders of two groups, Robert Mugabe and Josh Nkomo, worked to the end of the violence by signing the Unity Accord on December 22, 1987. They formed a single party known as ZANU PF. Disturbance continued till 1990s, but the signing of the agreement through brought enough order to improve its economy and enhance its democracy. Today is also commemorated as Forefathers Day, Every year, the anniversary of the first pilgrims landing on the shores of North America is observed on Forefathers Day on December 22nd, unless it occurs on a Sunday, in which case Forefathers Day is celebrated on December 23rd. Although the forefathers landed in America on December 21st, the anniversary was accidentally marked as December 22 when the Gregorian calendar was adopted. It is definitely worth celebrating the day journey of first pilgrims who sailed across the ocean in search of a better life and ultimately launch one of the superpower countries of the world. Few things are more important to Americans than heritage, remembering where you came from and how hard you have worked to get where you are, all integral parts of the concepts of American dream. So it was a story of heroic as any classic tale in literature. The story of nations' brave forefathers who escaped economic limitations, unemployment, and religious persecution in search of freedom, preservation of their cultural identity. So, with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this wonderful day, especially today's commemoration on National Mathematics Day or Srinivas Ramanujan's birth anniversary. Thank you, everyone. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the platform. The feedback form has been launched in the form of polls. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the platform. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night at the same time. And we wish you all happy Vaikunta Ekadashi to all of you. And we pray and seek blessings from the Almighty Lord Sri Mahavishnu and Lord Sri Mahalakshmi to bestow their and to bestow their grace on all of us for our success, prosperity, health, and wealth. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Good night.